Okay.
Good evening and welcome to Fired Up. I am your host for the show, Bob Irwin. We are coming to you live from the gun store here in Las Vegas. We are on KSHP 1400 AM radio right now, along with YouTube under Fired Up with Bob Irwin. And we're here every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. Tonight's guests with me are murder defense attorney, defense murder specialist, Clark Patrick, to my left, and firearms instructor Tony D., who works here at the gun store as an instructor. Clark, could you give a little bit of your background for new listeners?
Sure, Bob. As everybody that watches knows, I grew up in Montana, been around firearms and hunting my whole life. I did a little stint in the Army as a tank commander, kept up with the guns, still hunt, and for the last 10 plus years, I've been practicing law in Las Vegas, solely murder defense.
Business is good.
Business is good.
Right now.
Watch the paper every morning and find my new clients.
And, and Tony, would you introduce yourself to any new listeners?
I'm Tony D. I've been working here at the gun store since 1998. It's a long time. Prior to that, I was a police officer in Rochester, New York. I was a commander of the firearms training unit when I left. I was also a member of the department SWAT team and bomb squad. So, and I have worked here as a firearms instructor and as a gunsmith, and have a good time.
I would caution listeners, we don't do call-ins on it anymore on the show because of the way the sound system works. But if you do have a question or comment, you can send us an email to bob@firedupmail.com. That's on one of these little signs here we have. So you don't have to remember it. It'll be on the show that you're watching. If you're listening to it, the show on the radio, don't write it down while you're driving. It'll be there when you get home and pick up YouTube, and you can get all the information on the little signs we have here. We do answer every inquiry by email that you send in by email or text. And if you want to talk to one of the guests or ask them something particular, just address it to that bob@firedupmail, and I will forward it to Clark or to Tony or whatever guest we had on that you want to ask a question of. This show is all related to guns, politics, and self-defense issues. There are several hundred defensive uses of firearms every week, as we know, often not covered by the mainstream media. So we always start out with a few cases for the listeners' education, basically. When you use a gun in self-defense, things go right, things go wrong. So we give you some cases that are good ones, some are questionable, and once in a while one that's really stupid. But I picked them out to educate viewers and listeners as to what happens in real life to real people. And so that's what we're doing here. And then we're going to talk about some terrorism and some gun law things a little bit later in the second half hour. This is from Fox 2 News in Detroit, Michigan. A group of men had been extorting food truck operators and bar owners in Detroit. They were eventually stopped when they tried to hold up the Happy Bar on Green Street, thanks to the owner. The would-be robber walked into the bar's bathroom, slipped on a red mask, came out and demanded money from the owner. They argued the robber then shot the owner in the leg. Apparently the bad guy was messing with the wrong victim. The owner of the bar had a concealed pistol license, pulled out his weapon and fired back multiple times. The robber's partner saw how badly he was wounded, so they picked him up and drove off. There are three guys. The two guys picked the other guy up, drove off. And a few minutes after this incident, they literally dumped him on the front steps of the Detroit Receiving Hospital.
Yeah, they never take him in. They just kind of slow down and push him out in the parking lot.
Fortunately, as they fled the scene, an alert security officer happened to catch the license plate of their black or their silver Buick Cross. They were quickly captured. One suspect is in custody. Police were able to track down the second guy by where the vehicle was registered. The third suspect they haven't caught as yet. The area is called Mexican Town. It said the Mexican Town crime spree was stopped thanks to three things: a security guard that's paying attention, a brave victim who fought back, and some good old-fashioned police work. Looking up where the car was registered to. That's a serious investigation.
What they call a clue, isn't it?
Yeah. 3 times last week, the thieves had targeted a group of food trucks and bars on Detroit's southwest side. So this was a little gang that was extorting food trucks and bars. You pay us, and we'll, your glass won't get broken or your legs won't get broken. Having a gun stops a crime again. The security guy was very good in his quick thinking to get the license plate number when he saw the guy run out, heard the shot, and in being smart enough not to chase the guy firing his gun.
I think when a car pulls up and 2 guys dump another guy out, it might be suspicious activity.
Yeah. Actually, this was when they left the
bar.
But,
when they dumped them at the hospital.
Either way,
cool.
A lot of them get caught at the hospital. You see these over and over, and they will go to the hospital, and the guy will say, I accidentally shot myself cleaning my gun, and he's got a bullet hole in his back. No. And the police have a 911 call of a robbery shooting a block away. And then they go, duh. And the guy gets caught. Anyway, again, questions or comments to Bob at Fired Up Mail, and please like us on Facebook when you get a chance. The gun store here, we do offer free concealed carry permit classes every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Saturday. You can find the classes on our website, thegunstorelasvegas.com, and sign up online. I got to tell you, with recent events, our classes are packed. If you want to go, you go on our website. It'll tell you if there's still space in the class. We are probably going to have to go to another class day for a while.
Please, people, please do that, because a walk-in, we are just, for the next week, we are just booked on all 3 days. And if we have an opening, if someone cancels out, no problem, but it is really, we're just slammed.
We will try and get you in, because it takes now 90 days or better to actually get your permit issued. But even if you don't have the permit yet, it'll give you information as to when you can shoot, when you can't shoot, so you don't end up in a story on this show.
And having to call Clark.
Yeah, that's the worst guy to meet in real life is Clark,
right?
His professional capacity. There's 3 little short incidents that all happened this week. They just seem to run together. One's a really good incident. One is not so good, and the other one is really not good. This is KIVI TV 6 in Vail, Oregon on the 6th. 7:30 a.m. on Sunday, the County Sheriff's Dispatch Center received a call about a home invasion on Washington Street. Deputies responded, found the home was occupied by 2 residents, one of whom had shot and killed an armed intruder after a scuffle. The names and the parties are not released until notifications are made and so forth. I looked up, and the case is pretty much resolved. Police said there's no reason to believe there's any danger to the public.
No, the bad guy's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. Short and sweet. You have a gun, guys kick in your door, and you shoot him, and it saves your life and saves everybody else. And that's exactly why you keep a gun in your house. And if you don't have a gun in your house,
get one.
Yeah, there's no way around that. And a little questionable. This WDSU Channel 6 News in New Orleans, or Narlands as it's pronounced, an incident about 10:45 p.m. in the 5500 block of Ascension Street. A preliminary report from the New Orleans Police Department says a 62-year-old victim saw a man breaking into his vehicle in front of his residence. The resident came out and confronted the criminal, who then proceeded to beat the guy. The criminal beat the victim with a large stick several times. The victim made his way back into his house. The burglar followed him. The victim armed himself with a gun, and as the guy came in behind him, he opened fire on the attacker, hit him a couple times. The would-be robber is in stable condition at a local hospital. A good shoot, no doubt. The bad guy followed him in.
But he could have avoided it by calling the cops and not going outside.
Yeah.
If he steals the car, you got the license plate, it's easy to find. It's hot on the trail. And if he went out without his gun and got beat and had to go back inside, he's lucky that the bad guy didn't have something more than a big stick.
Yeah.
Or he could have never made it back
lucky
inside.
He didn't get killed.
Yeah.
I mean, having the gun saves his life, but what Clark's trying to point out is, you see somebody getting into your car, stealing stuff, trying to break in, call police.
Yeah.
If you need to run out there and defend, your wife who's in the car or something, that's another
Different
story.
story,
This is a
right.
property crime anyway. That's all that's happening. He's right in the shooting, but he could have avoided having the guy come into his house, making a crime scene out of his front room.
Yeah.
Here we go, up for 2 days trying to explain to the cops what happened. Good shoot, brave guy. If you can, head it off before the shooting starts. This one's not so good. News 4 in Tucson, Arizona, yesterday, day before yesterday, a shoplifting suspect is in the hospital Sunday afternoon after a citizen shot him. Around 2:30 in the afternoon, a male suspect entered a Circle K store on Grant Road and Oracle Road, if you know where that is in Tucson. Tucson believes he shoplifted and then fled the scene. A citizen who was there followed him, got involved in an altercation, and the citizen shot the suspect. The suspect was transported to Banner Union Medical Center with life-threatening injuries. That's all we know. This just happened.
I was there. I
Uh,
was in Phoenix this past weekend when this came on the news.
are you the guy?
No. Actually, 2 cases of Budweiser. The guy had like one of the big 3-wheel bicycles with a basket in the back. I got two cases of Budweiser. He was pedaling away, and it wasn't even a customer. The customer at the store sees him, starts following him. Supposedly, the guy, another big stick, attempted to attack the citizen who was following him, and then he shot him. And so there's the big stick theory again. But it doesn't look good.
It's not looking good for the citizen. The beer wasn't even his.
No.
The store has insurance to do that. If they have him on video, they can catch him. Following him was a bad idea, and shooting him,
It was even a worse idea.
Even a worse idea.
Here comes the problem, and I know Clark has seen this. Now, the guy who shot says, I was defending myself. This guy was chasing me. I was in fear of my life.
Yeah.
So I pulled the stick. That's not probably going to go in real life in court, but it's going to go to cost you about $200,000
Easy.
Yeah.
to defend yourself
And,
over this.
and the Circle K is going to wash their hands of it, so
Right.
he's on his own.
Yeah, can easily see the citizen being charged.
Well,
with
of course,
something
Circle
like that.
K, will they
Yeah.
say, we're glad he helped? No, they're going to
No.
say, we didn't ask him to do that.
Right.
It has nothing to do with us. We always just let him run off and call the police and write it off.
And from the interviews that I heard from the police there, it doesn't look good for the
Yeah,
shooter.
no, I don't think it's going to end well for him.
So don't do that. You can use your gun in defense of your life, defense of someone else's life, but don't
Not
be
property.
the cause of the confrontation. Don't chase the guy and then claim self-defense. He's going to say, I was running away. I was defending myself. And you're going to meet a lot of lawyers and spend a lot of money. He'll probably be okay, assuming other witnesses saw the guy striking with a stick, but it's going to be in court. And the lawsuit, my son had never done anything wrong before,
Absolutely.
and he just wanted some beer for his party with his friends, and
Yeah.
and you shot him and maybe killed him. He was in jail with life-threatening injuries. So, again, questions or comments, firedupmail.com, bob@firedupmail.com, and please friend us on Facebook. If you have a product or service you would like to promote to gun owners and the like, and conservative audience, we do run ads occasionally on Fired Up. Drop a note to that same address, and we will set you up with a little bitty commercial, which will get you lots and lots of business from both people that are listening to this. Actually, no, we have now hooked up with another website and are broadcasting to 3,000-4,000 people throughout the United States, and it is
Nice.
growing. The Herald Tribune, this is in Bradenton, Florida, last week. This is on the 2nd. The Manatee County Sheriff's Office said it had a call to report a burglary early Tuesday morning on East 12th Street. The homeowner, this is bizarre. The homeowner, this guy bought this house and he's remodeling it. It's not currently living in it. He and a friend are over there, and they go in the morning and they find air conditioning unit with all its copper torn out, electric wires gone, light fixtures missing from the first floor of the 2-story house. He and the friend decided to continue their work on the home after the break-in and stayed there overnight. Around 11:30 p.m., the homeowner said he heard a vehicle pull up. Feeling scared, he called his wife, telling her to call the police. The homeowner here does not speak English. So he called his wife to call the police. He was apparently being burglarized for the second time in the same day. He saw a man now identified as a 35-year-old from Sarasota entering his property. The homeowner concealed himself behind a tarp, and he saw the guy was armed. As the guy went by, he jumped out, knocked a .357 Magnum revolver from the burglar's hand. The intruder then reached around behind his back as if he had another weapon. And that's a reasonable thing to do. But bad guys who carry guns usually carry two guns, just like cops do. So he reached around his back. The homeowner then grabbed the .357 that was on the floor and fired, hit the burglar in the left ankle. He then threw the revolver down and bear hugged the intruder to restrain him until the police arrived. He believes others were involved but fled upon hearing the shot. Brave guy. The captured burglar, who had 22 prior felony convictions, was...
Wow, he had some good lawyers.
Boy, what happened to three times and you're out?
He was treated for his injuries at Manatee Memorial Hospital, then booked into the Manatee County Jail. He's charged with armed burglary, possession of a firearm by a felon 22 times. No kidding.
Right.
This is a very gutsy guy. Attacking an armed intruder and taking his gun away is absolutely courageous. Again, for safety's sake, let me second guess him a little bit. Another solution here, Tony?
Call the police. Wait for the cops to stay hidden and wait for the cops to come.
Yeah. His wife had called the cops, we figure, and then,
Boy,
that's
you started
very courageous, but pretty
yeah.
lucky.
Yeah, this guy is a bad dude. I mean, he's very fortunate this guy didn't kill him, because he's actually a professional criminal, obviously. So you never know who you're fighting. The guy could turn out to have a knife or whatever. Maybe there was something behind his back. If you're hidden, the wife's already called the cops. Just breathe quietly. Wait till the police get there. When they get into the building, you yell, "I'm the homeowner, don't shoot," and come out with your hands in the air and let them search the guy, and find him. Anyway, worked out. Lucky. If you're planning a corporate event and like the thrill of shooting machine guns or guns you can't normally shoot where you live, call Melissa or contact Melissa at the gun store, lasvegas.com, and she will set you up. This can happen to you. This is one of the ones that I really want to get across tonight. Denver TV7, it's an ABC affiliate, reported in Colorado and Denver. Denver police are investigating shooting at an apartment where a neighbor says a woman shot an intruder who was attempting to break in. It happened in an apartment complex in the 900 block of South Quince. If you're in Colorado, I don't know where that is. Neighbors report they're awakened by an apparently drunken man knocking on their neighbor's door, yelling, "Let me in, let me in." They believe the man was knocking on the wrong door and did not live there. This is one of those apartment buildings where there's a bunch of buildings, they all look alike, and they all have the same numbers on them, and so on and so on. Getting no response, the drunk guy kicked in the apartment door. The woman inside started shooting, hit the suspect in the hand. The neighbor's door is just opposite the victim's door. Down the hallway, they face each other precisely. The door is given that alignment. She also sent a few bullets through the neighbor's door. However, fortunately, no bystanders were hit. Officers are questioning the suspected shooter, and the injured suspect was taken to a hospital. This happens. You've got a drunk guy beating on your door, and he really doesn't know he's at the wrong house.
First thing maybe is to give a verbal warning. So this is not your house. I have a gun. Go away.
That's what's missing here, is screaming at the guy, "Get away from my door. I don't know who you are," or something. "I have a gun. I've called the police," whatever. One, if it is a burglar, to let him know the place is occupied, because they may be just beating on the door, hoping, and if nobody answers, then they're going to kick it in and steal everything. So you want to let them know you're there. You know, my husband's in the back cleaning his flamethrower. You know, don't break in. I'll have to wake him up. Whatever it is. Here is where firearms instructors, Tony and me and everybody else who teaches, harp on everybody about observing the background, because most of the rounds you fire in real life under stress are going to miss or potentially go through the guy and hit what is behind him. In the real world, when someone is kicking in your door, you're looking at the bad guy.
Right.
Who's really looking at the background?
Right.
You can't do that in real life, although we tell people to try to do that. It's almost impossible to do in a real situation. And when I talk to officers I've interviewed, and I know, Tony, you've had the same thing, when you talk to people that have, and you say, do you realize what was right behind the guy you fired at? And they go,
Nope.
I have no idea.
No idea.
No idea at all. But we'd like you to do that. So if you're a homeowner and you're worried about burglaries and you live in an apartment building where your neighbor's door is directly opposite, you might want to note that in advance. If you've got a hallway coming down and you think an intruder might be in the house at night and you're going to fire down the hallway, and at the end of the hallway is a wall, and behind that wall is your kid's room, and they're in bunk beds. So you got somebody up high behind that wall. You might think about in advance what the angles are going to be. Lord knows you're not going to remember that in real life anyway, but maybe you can if you look at it. It might change how you view the confrontation.
And you might want to adjust on your type of ammunition you use for your house gun too. I mean, we got the good Las Vegas construction here, chicken wire and drywall. I wouldn't want to be in a following apartment with someone cut loose with a with a 3-inch 12-gauge slug, you know, that could go through a lot of stuff. So that's a consideration too. We always tell people, if you're going to use something like that, be aware of your ammunition. You know, full metal jacket, ball ammo is not the greatest something to use to defend yourself with anyway, and due to the overpenetration that you may get with that, could have some bad consequences.
Absolutely.
We do have here at the gun store, we have a ladies only shooting and personal safety class on the second Thursday of each month. Next one is December 10. It's taught by a lady instructor, Maggie Mordaunt, who teaches here and a lot of other places. You could sign up on our website, thegunstorelasvegas.com. We only let women in the class, so you can talk about issues that you don't want to talk about with your boyfriend leaning over your back, and sort of. It's a good class. It's about 4 hours, and they can set you up with that on our website. Good class. This is a story I hate, but it's educational. Most of the local media here in Las Vegas reported this week, prosecutors, our local DA announced he will file neglect charges in connection with an October shooting death of an 8-year-old Las Vegas boy. The shooting happened October 10 at 5:30 in the afternoon at a home on Wine Cellar Avenue. According to Metro Police, that a teenager called for help and reported that an 8-year-old had been shot in the home. The boy's death was later ruled to be a suicide, making him one of the youngest cases ever in the history of Clark County, if not the youngest. On Friday, our district attorney, Steve Wilson, did an extensive review of the case, and the result was 1 felony count of child abuse, neglect, and endangerment against the boyfriend of the child's mother. The child's mother and the boyfriend live together. It's not his child. The DA said the mother's boyfriend owned several guns that were not adequately secured in the home and left an 8-year-old with his 5-year-old sister alone at the home. There's another teenager who was not there at the time either. Horrible case. The teenager was next door, or was away from the home. The little girl, who's 5 or 6 years old, depending on which news report you read, came running over to the next door neighbor's house with blood all over herself. saying she couldn't wake up her brother. The neighbors came and they called the older teenager. They all get to the house. And the 8-year-old apparently found the gun and shot himself. The coroner said it was a suicide. The parents deny that. In either case, the DA normally doesn't file charges when these accidents happen. In this case, apparently 2 years prior, the boy had accidentally found and fired the same gun when he was 6 years old. It's a 9mm semi-automatic. It was a Glock pistol. They're very easy for kids to operate. The DA said that parents and guardians have an obligation to protect children and keep them from situations when they are in danger. The prosecutor said leaving these children alone with loaded weapons was not where they're not properly secured contributed to the young boy losing his life. There's not really a whole lot any of us can say here. This is, I'm sure that's what pushed the DA over the edge, was this same child.
Same kid, same gun.
Found the same gun, and this time he killed himself. As I said, it was a suicide or it was an accidental shooting. It's not germane to the case. I mean, just you lock up your gun.
Every gun comes with a lock. And how long have they been doing that? How long?
Long time now.
A long time. And if a gun doesn't have a lock, I think you can get them almost free from Metro or
from us.
Or
we give away gun locks. Metro gives them away. The Chamber of Commerce gives them away. The mayor's office gives them away. Everybody gives away gun locks. You just go ask for a gun lock, they'll give you one. There were several guns in the house apparently, and I don't want to go on all the details of the case because this guy's going to trial, and I'm quite sure that nobody feels worse about it than him.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But apparently this time they're really going to put somebody in jail for.
But like now, we always tell our people too. We offer the Eddie Eagle class here at the gun store.
Mm-hmm.
If a kid finds a gun, stop, don't touch, leave the area, tell an adult. And we recommend that, you know, if you have kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, whatever, send them down. We do it here, and it's the NRA. It's an NRA program, of course, the evil NRA, the Antichrist. But you know, it's a very, very good program. Doesn't teach kids about guns. Teaches kids not to touch guns. And I know in this particular circumstance, it was a tragedy. Let's just get into that.
There's no way around it. Nobody wins. Lock up your guns, please. There's a blog that we've hooked up with called firearms.net. It's run by the Firearms Industry News Desk. Now they carry Fired Up and these shows and some of my written words of wisdom on their website. They're found right there. If you want to get to the Firearms News Network, you can search it on wherever and find it, and you will find Fired Up shows besides the ones that are on our website, and a lot of good information. They pretty much research their stuff too and make sure what they're telling everybody is what really happened. I'm going to skip that for now. And yeah, that we're going to page 9, Clark, because this is kind of one I want to discuss. This is KHOU. It's in Houston, Texas, where they have lots and lots and lots of shootings. Texas have different rules. When I talk about Texas cases, I always tell people this only works in Texas, and only if you're not a cop. If you do a wrongful shooting in Texas and you're a cop, you get sued in federal court. But they have different rules in Texas that allow you to recover stolen property using armed force and so forth to do that. Anyway, this is in Harris County. Police say a woman was returning home from work and noticed 2 suspicious men in the apartment's parking lot. She called her boyfriend with her cell phone, who was inside the apartment. Authorities say while the woman was on the phone, she got out of the car and started to walk into the apartment. Police say the men ran up on her and tried to grab her purse. She started screaming, still on the phone with her boyfriend. The boyfriend came out of the apartment, saw the man, what he described, tussling with her, and thought one of the robbers had a gun. He discharged his firearm, killing one while the other fled on foot. The suspects are 2 males in their early 20s or late teens. The officers say the woman's boyfriend claims he saw a weapon on the suspect, but he will not face charges as he was protecting a third party. These two guys are trying to grab her purse. Is she in danger of great bodily harm or serious injury or death?
Well, of course she is. There's two of them, whether they're armed or not. Two of them, one lady. Whether or not they had a weapon, I'm sure that she will say that she felt that she was in great bodily harm. If her boyfriend thought he saw a weapon, or if they had a Nerf gun or a plastic knife, it doesn't matter. It's what a reasonable person would believe. And I think you'd be hard pressed to find a reasonable person that wouldn't think that this lady was in danger of at least serious physical harm, if not death.
I would have to agree. And the difference here with the previous case we talked about, where you're in the house and they're outside and whatever, the woman is in a physical fight with these two guys at the moment. This is not the point where the boyfriend waits in the house for the police. You need to come out and intervene to save her from physical injury. There isn't time to wait for the police. We get a 7 to 20 minute response with police, depending on where you are. Always wait if you got time.
And the other thing with this that we've talked about too, in defense of others, you have to be careful, because if you just come up on a group of strangers that are fighting, you may not know which group is the good guys and which group is the bad guys. You may end up shooting the wrong guys in defense of somebody else. But when this is your girlfriend, you know who the good guy is, you know who the bad guys are. So that takes that out of the equation.
That's out of the equation. You know the players, you know the person you're defending needs to be defended. A verbal warning, is that practical in this case? The fight's already on.
Not with the fight already going. I think
I would say no, just like calling the police and waiting. It's too late for that. You can be yelling at them while you're shooting, but all it takes is a good punch to the side of her face and she's killed, and you're standing there yelling, "Drop the gun." Doesn't work. The gun store has a little boutique marketing program we're starting up. If you want to be on the edge of the gun business, we're looking for partners with a capital of $10,000 to $20,000. And I'll explain it to you if you want to drop me a note at that bob@firedupmail.com, and I'll let you in on our newfound secret. And I go to some other news. We had in our industry a huge bad non-decision from the Supreme Court yesterday. The Supreme Court refused to hear a case brought up by some gun owners who are challenging an Illinois city's ban on what they call assault weapons. This is another one of these ordinances. This is the city of Highland Park. It's a suburb of Chicago. Passed a law that bans semi-automatic weapons, and large capacity magazines are what we call normal capacity magazines. Limits magazines to 10 shots and bans semi-automatic rifles. The Supreme Court's decision not to hear the case leaves it in place because a previous ruling of the lower court says that local communities can make rules that say you can't have so many rounds in a magazine, you can't have such and such type of gun. This ruling came right after the mass shootings in California and Colorado. A federal appeals court upheld the law, ruling that it was challenged by upheld the law in this ruling. It was challenged by the Illinois Gun Owners Association, and they were turned away from the court. The court didn't actually say the law was valid. They simply refused to hear the case. There have been 3 appellate courts now that have all ruled the same way, that local communities have the authority without violating the Constitution to restrict what they call assault weapons in their jurisdiction and magazine capacity. It's being appealed, but there are other cases in line. We had hoped in the gun side that the Supreme Court would hear this case. A couple of the Supreme Court justices objected strongly to the other ones not hearing the case.
Right.
Yeah,
But
there was
in reality, folks, the minority opinion on the Supreme Court don't count. If the majority doesn't want to hear it, they don't hear it, and that's it.
Well, what it may take is, one of the other circuits to come down with a
With a
different
different decision.
decision, so that there's a split in the circuits, and that may be what the Supreme Court's waiting for, or they're just,
Is a split case.
Yeah.
Yeah, all three appellate court cases in the federal system they have currently all say the same thing, that it doesn't infringe on your rights to tell you can't have an assault rifle if you live in state of California or, San Diego, or wherever the hell it is.
Justice Scalia and Justice Thomas wrote a very, very good dissent on it.
A very singing dissent
Yeah,
that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It was nice. Here's another gun law that's cool. You may not have heard of this. I ran across this and it just really cracked me up. The city of Cleveland adopted earlier this year a mandatory gun offender registry. It says that under this reg, individuals convicted of a gun crime who live in Cleveland have 5 days to register, as would offenders who have moved there from outside its borders. So if you're living in Cleveland now, as of November 1, you're required to go to the police department and tell them, I've been convicted of a gun crime, including misdemeanors. So you're on the registry and you got to give them your home address, fingerprints, name, alias, date of birth, sex, home, mobile phone number, photo identification, description of the gun offense, your employer's information, et cetera, et cetera. It includes, it's a 30-page form you got to fill out saying, I committed a gun crime umpteen years ago. And now you're on the list of a gun crime guy. Failure to do that, if you have a gun crime conviction, is $1,000 fines and 6 months in jail. Cleveland's Assistant Director of Public Safety told the media that since going active on November 1st, no one has signed up for this program.
What a
And they're surprised?
I am just shocked. I mean,
and they're
my
surprised
God.
by this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Criminals get their guns illegally, so why would they go and sign up?
It's an incredible violation of the Constitution. You're convicted of a gun crime.
You can't make this stuff up.
No.
It's-
No.
So you are supposed to register and fill in this stuff with the Cleveland Police Department.
criminal.
And exactly how does that reduce crime?
It doesn't. It was just a bunch of politicians getting together saying this would be a good idea, and
So then when there's a robbery or somebody flashes a gun, you run out and arrest all
the-
37 guys that live in
Right.
that same block.
The usual pool
Okay.
of suspects.
The usual suspects.
Did you do this? No. Anyway, that's Cleveland. If you're in Cleveland, please be aware this law is in effect, and
You may have another misdemeanor.
you need to sign up. TV 13 Las Vegas. This was a note. Senator Harry Reid introduced an amendment which would ban gun ownership by people convicted of misdemeanors under the Freedom of Access to Clinic entrances. This is a 1984 law meant to prevent violence and harassment at abortion clinics. Harry's got this bill in the pile federally. It's in response to the shootings they had at Planned Parenthood in Colorado, according to Politico.com. After the shooting in San Bernardino on Wednesday, Reid took to Twitter to say the Senate Democrats plan to force a vote on this amendment this year. So if you have been convicted of trespassing at an abortion clinic to protest or something, under this, you would no longer be allowed to have guns.
wow, that kind of runs right in the face of the First Amendment, doesn't it?
One would think this is a bigger First Amendment violation than Second Amendment.
Yeah, really.
But what they're doing is, even if a gun was involved in anything you did, if you were arrested trespassing at an abortion clinic, you can't have a gun anymore if this
Wow.
goes through. The Democrats are going to force a vote. There's some political issue here. And I can see the pressure on Republicans to say, we're stopping people from attacking abortion clinics with guns, which is not what this says at all.
No.
It's already illegal to attack an abortion clinic with a gun.
Right.
Anyway, Sacramento Bee reported this week, you saw this, California
Wow.
Governor Jerry Brown went on the attack Saturday, slamming neighboring states' gun laws. Brown said Nevada and Arizona are both gigantic back doors through which any terrorist can walk. California has their tough gun laws, and Arizona and Nevada are wide open, and that's the gigantic back door through which any terrorist can walk to get a gun and use it in San Bernardino.
Wow.
The guns used in the San Bernardino attack were all purchased in California.
Legally.
Governor Moonbeam. Illegally modified to get rid of a bullet button or things like that, but illegally purchased there, according to the FBI.
Isn't it Arizona that's been begging the federal government for stronger border control for years to keep people from
That's a
crossing
different issue.
illegally?
This gets rid of guns.
But-
Guns are
but-
killing people.
California doesn't? I mean, wow.
Anyway, Jerry Brown's on his soapbox. Our governor, Sandoval, the governor of Arizona, reacted to this rather poorly.
Yeah, at least the governor of Arizona had a little more backbone than Sandoval did on this, but he could have been a little more forceful, I think, too.
This is an absolute joke. You can only buy pistols in the state you live in. So if any pistols in California, the guy brought them in California. It's illegal to import an AR-15 that takes detachable magazines into California for years. It's illegal to have a magazine that holds more than 10 shots in California for years. They grandfather some old ones. These are new ones. These guys did everything illegal to get these guns into California, made them illegal in California, and now it's Arizona and Nevada's fault. Right.
Yeah.
So much for that. Governor Moonbeam lives again. Let me see. We're doing okay on time. Let's skip that one for the time being. This is something I don't normally cover on Fired Up. I like to get 2 or 3 sources from every story, and this only has one. I will tell you at the moment, but there are media reports that this husband and wife terrorist team who murdered 14 people and wounded 16, 17 others in San Bernardino a week ago Wednesday had been acting suspiciously in recent weeks, according to friends of some of their neighbors. The terrorist couple were apparently working late at night in their garage, receiving packages in their home and so forth in Redlands, California. But according to nearby residents, they did not report them for fear of racial profiling. A friend told the neighbor that she described her regret as not reporting their suspicions. It has since emerged, of course, that the couple had 12 pipe bombs, a stockpile of tools to assemble explosives, 2,000 rounds of 9mm. Oh, I have that.
I was going to say, I got those round
Yeah.
counts beat at my house.
2,500 rounds of 223.
One closet.
But, we live in Nevada. But they had pipe bombs, and now we know since this was written, they had actually rigged pipe bombs to get the first responders kicking indoors and things, and been paid apparently by a foreign power and so forth. But anyway, again, these are unconfirmed third-hand reports that people said their friends who lived near the couple knew that and didn't report it for fear of being called bigots or being accused of racial profiling. And now 14 people are dead. If this information is correct, perhaps the attack could have been stopped. It doesn't require you doing anything. We are at war, folks. War. If you see something, say something. Call the local police. Say, there's a guy that, to see if anybody's paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering seriously. I'm not going to try and do it because in my case they'd pay attention. If I could walk into a hardware store here and buy 50 pieces of pipe this long and 200 end caps,
Right.
and put them in my shopping cart, if anybody would go, plumbing problems? Yeah. If they see this stuff going on, you see this going on, if you're wrong, you're wrong. Call the police anonymously. Call the tip line. Go, somebody ought to look at 312 Meadows Lane. Yeah, and hang up. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Then if the police goof it up, they goof it up. But at least you did something. Another kind of cute story. This is from Fox 23 News in Tulsa, and this isn't here just because it needs to be in here. This was a story carried on a lot of the media. Fox 23, for one, in Tulsa, as a home defense case. Homeowner scared off 2 suspects with a handgun, but held a third until the police arrived. 3 men forced their way into a midtime Tulsa home with a club and a machete. The resident in the house at 45th and Peoria scared the 2 residents away by firing shots at them with a handgun. The third suspect was held at gunpoint inside the house till police arrived. Police report the suspect confessed to the crime and told police where his buddy was, and the police used that tip to arrest the second guy who also confessed. They're both out on $50,000 bond each and facing robbery with a dangerous weapon charge. Police say the robbers got away with a backpack that had money and marijuana in it.
Wow.
If you sell drugs, people going to break in your house and try and steal your stuff.
Yeah.
Every cop I know has a story of somebody calling the cops and saying, these guys stole my marijuana or my cocaine or whatever. Every street cop in the world, ask one you know, has seen this happen.
In there.
I was defending my stash, and what I'm looking at, they're committing a crime too. Are we looking at legal self-defense? If you're defending yourself from a robbery that is caused by your selling drugs, that's probably more time than we've got on the show.
That's more time than we got on the show. That's going to be a tough sell to a jury.
It's gonna be a tough sell to the jury to say, this was a legal shooting. I was defending my staff.
Yes, that's exactly
well, he was defending
right.
himself. But anyway, wow, I have this cute little clock on my desk now so I don't run over on the radio show. That's what you're looking at on the back of. Any notes on the show? Gun shows. We've got a Claude Hall's gun show on the 12th and 13th this weekend, right?
Yeah. This weekend.
I don't know what day it is. At Sportsman Center on Sunset and the Strip. We're going to be up there. We got some brass for sale and whatnot. It's a nice little show. It's my favorite show to go to because it's right up the street from where we are, and I can drink coffee and people don't bother you much all day. There's a lot. What the advantage of this show is, there's a lot of little independent guys selling stuff out of their garage and guns aren't anymore. And you will really find some odd parts and things that you won't find at the major shows.
Oh, at this one?
Yeah.
And a lot of the vendors, they actually do like this one because the people who come, they're serious buyers. I mean, they know it's there. And even though it's not the largest gun show, it's fun. I like it too. I mean, it's a nice little place. It's close. It's convenient. And usually I always get lucky there.
And the parking's free. You just drive in and park. Yeah. They don't get you. And the show guys who run the show pay for the parking, and you can park like 50 feet from the door and walk there. And
cool.
And, there's a few people with their glassware and beef jerky and stuff like that, but it's a nice little show, and there's enough gun stuff for you people that are hunting for odd parts and magazines and things to find stuff you can't.
You know how many polyesters have to give up their lives to make one Beanie Baby? I mean, it's incredible. Carry on.
I'll do the joke.
Like a MAGA.
That's
a Claude Hall show this weekend, Sportsman Center. Come up there and say hello. Maybe Clark will be there for Saturday and wave at you, and you can ask him questions about you don't want to write an email to me about what do I do with this illegal gun.
Probably not Saturday, but I'm going to try to be there Sunday for a little bit.
All right, well, that'd be cool. So Sunday you can come get free legal advice and
worth every penny.
Yeah. The weekend after that, the 19th and 20th, we get the Cashman Field show downtown, Crossroads of the West, and the same weekend, Rocky Mountain Gun Show at the South Point. I got to tell you, these two shows are trying to run each other out of town, so they're doing it on the same day. I really wish personally they wouldn't. We're going to have some passes for these shows available starting with next week's show. I'll give you a hint where to call in then. And you can have your choice of which show you want to go to, the one at downtown or the South Point. They're both great shows. Cashman's a little bigger show. South Point, covered parking, free, walk in, take the escalator, everything's right there. There's advantages to both, and both these guys operate good shows. And I wish personally they got along. Our movie, The Big Short's coming up, Christmas. I saw the trailer in the theater yesterday, the day before when I went. Opens for Christmas on December 23rd now. It's a Michael Lewis book about all the guys stealing all this stuff in the housing bubble. They really did it in Las Vegas, and part of their entourage was they came into the gun store to shoot machine guns while they were busy stealing from all you homeowners. They're all in jail now.
Got to blow off steam somehow.
Yeah, and it's got Christian Bale and Brad Pitt and Ryan Gosling and Steve Carell's in it, and Marissa Tomei, who I've been a fan of
forever.
Forever.
Yes.
And the gun store, because they came here and they actually filmed the exteriors at the gun store, so it's kind of cool. And we'll be back next Tuesday from 5 to 6 right here on 1400 AM KSHP and on YouTube. The YouTube show stays up all week. Let me put the right sign up here again for friending us on Facebook, if you would be so kind. That will stick you on our mailing list, and you'll get all the stuff from the gun store as it comes out. We've got a whole lot of Christmas specials going on with 12 days of this. Each day we've got something way marked off if you come that particular day. So I encourage you to friend our website or like our Facebook page, and we will keep you in the loop. When you sign up and give us your email address, you're going to get mailers from us. If you don't want them, you can always tell us no. I wanted to mention that yesterday was the anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. Our hearts honor those whose lives were lost in that attack, and hopefully we'll never be caught so unaware again. Are you listening, Mr. Obama?
No, he's not.
Yeah. This is cute too. This just came out today. A Rasmussen poll yesterday. A Rasmussen poll was done. These are good polls, not fake polls by fake people. They sent out a phone questionnaire. It shows that 40% of Americans believe the presence of people with concealed carry permits will decrease the number of people killed in violent incidents in America. This just came out. This is up to the minute with the current terrorist situation. They broke it down by political affiliation, and they found out 59% of Republicans believe people should carry concealed weapons and it decreases violence. 41% of independents agreed with that, and only 25% of Democrats agree that a weapon in good citizens' hands will stop. If you are caught, we hit this on the last show heavy. We're going to hit it probably again next show. We are, if you're caught in a terrorist incident, first run, hide if you can't run, and fight with your concealed carry gun, which you are carrying with you all the time. Right? Right.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
You cannot predict where bad stuff's going to happen. Get a permit, get a gun that's small enough you can carry it comfortably, and carry it. If it's at home, it won't work. Thanks for listening. We are gone. Have a good evening.
Night.
Very good. Cool.